Cheshire East and West and Wirral NHS partnership, because I have done like little courses with them, like mindfulness and things like that. And from that, there was posts come up, and I am now a patient governor for mental health and social care as a patient. So I speak for patients, and as being a patient that have used the NHS services, I speak to the governors of all the Cheshire hospitals and all the Wirral hospitals in Liverpool and say to them, well, actually, no, as a patient, you're doing this wrong. And what is really important is things like the white paper has had some recommendations to change. Now, we all have the right as people who have these disabilities to put our point of view across for those changes. And one big change that is coming in, which I think is fantastic, if you do suffer with mental health, you do not have to have your family member or partner to be your advocate for you. You can nominate maybe a really good friend or a cousin, somebody you have a really good close relationship with, who will have your best interest. Because I do know my son suffered with mental health, and I was quite a strong mother that said, no, I'm leaving my son in hospital for his own safety. Now, a lot of parents would say, no, I want them home, which isn't necessarily in their best interest. So, or you can think, well, you know, my parents don't know me because they don't know my full story. So that is something they're bringing into mental health hospitals, that you can nominate another person. It does not have to be a family member, which I think is brilliant, because my parents, you know, I think as you get older and your parents get older, you tend to tell them less and they don't really have the understanding. But maybe if you've got a young friend who's gone through it with you, will go, well, actually, I know that's not what Jessica would like. I know Jessica would prefer this sort of thing. And they can actually stand in tribunals for you and speak up for you. So sometimes just trying to join these little things is just to get the information out, because it isn't out there for everybody. So like I have said on the page before, if anybody's got anything to, with either social care or any mental health worries, or their hospital or services are letting them down, please do message me on the Invisible website, because I will happily put your points of view, because I can get in touch with your hospitals and the governors of your hospitals and say, well, actually, I know this person in your area has been really failed. So please do that, because I'd love to get everybody the rights that they deserve in hospitals.
So you're doing such amazing work to help the community to get their voices heard, and that's what's so important about not us only telling our story, but helping others, which a lot of people feel alone. They feel like they haven't got this support. But by us all coming together, like you working with your actual area, you've made a massive change.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. I mean, and I think if you can sort of go on, even put it on a Facebook page, is there anybody in the area that has this, that, and the other? I think people will be quite surprised. It just takes that one person to ask, and then it is surprising how many people. I mean, I was actually so surprised how many young people have stomas. It really has shocked me, because my mother's 82 and had to have emergency stoma 12 months ago, and I always presumed it was perhaps from 50s onwards everything starts going wrong a bit. I never realised, and especially children, I was so shocked about how many children, and it is being a major eye-opener to a lot of these disabilities that a lot of people have. It is quite shocking. I think you tend to think as you get older things start going wrong, but that's not the case. It really isn't the case.
That's exactly what I was like. So obviously I was diagnosed, and then in the same week I needed the surgery, and I knew nothing about my diagnosis as it was. And then when I heard the word stoma, I was like, what? That's like the elderly people have those, like. And then as soon as I came out of my surgery and started to meet more people in my community, I started to realise how common it is for young people to have them. Like, it's not just the elderly that suffer with these conditions. It doesn't choose an age, it affects everyone.
Yeah, and I think it's quite nice that for younger people and children, and especially sort of teenagers when they're going through that awkward stage, to know there are young people that, you know, get on with these things, and, you know, and you can inspire a lot of people who are just probably just starting on their journey of learning how to, you know, alter their lives to make the best out of it, where some of us, like I'm 4 years into mine now, you know, and I've joined the functional neurological disorder group. And it's really, you know, people pop up and say, oh, this has just happened to me. Does anybody else have this? Or does anybody else have that? Does this happen to you? Or that happened to you? And, you know, you just get people who don't really want to do their full story, but they just might write one line saying, oh, thank you, you've helped me today. You know, and that just, to me, makes, you know, I think, oh, well, do you know what? I've just won the lottery now because I've just helped somebody or stopped them worrying for the day. Yeah, so I just think if anybody can just do one little thing, is just, you know, just, you can help somebody in any little way, just say, I've got this, anybody else, message me, you know, and you'll be surprised how many people will, of all different ages.
So you're very, very positive as a person. I've noticed since meeting you, you are very, very positive. And I know that you obviously live with your challenges, but you don't let them define you. Have you, through your 4 years, experienced any discrimination when you've been out in public?
I have, yes, an awful lot. I think I mean, the best one was I avoided for a long time going to where I live. There's a Trafford Centre, which is a big shopping place, which was somewhere I used to like going. I'm not really I like to only go shopping if I know I can buy things, but I like to go with my son and things. And I was frightened, thinking, oh my God, what if I'm ill? What if I have a seizure when I'm out? And my son said, look, Mum, I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered. So, and I said, well, if you think you can handle me, and we went. Now, my husband loves the Apple store, which is a nightmare to me because there's just thousands of people. You can't move. They're walking around with iPads. They all look like robots and know what they're doing, and I don't. So there was a bench, and there was a gap by this bench. And I said, look, I'll sit here because there's a water fountain that I can see. I said, I'll sit here with the bags. You can do what you like. He said, oh, I'll get you a coffee. I said, look, you and my son, go and do what shops you want to do. I'm happy, just sat here, people watching. Now, a family came, and I could hear some breathing behind me, and I looked round, and I thought, oh, my son's going to say boo or something. And then this lady went, so I looked at her, I said, oh, sorry. She said, could you move? And I'm in a wheelchair with about 6 shopping bags that my son has dropped because he's had a shopping spree. And I said, pardon? She said, could you move? I want to sit on the bench. Now, taking the fact that the other end of the bench, you could sit on it. I wasn't sat on the bench, I was in my wheelchair. And I said, pardon? She said, could you move? So I said, so I was just, I think it's because I'd had enough as well, because I'd been hit that many times across the head with the handbags and things. And I've got the first time ever I realised what it was like to be a toddler out shopping where you get smacked with handbags. And I just said to her, where would you like me to go? Over the balcony? Would that suit you? And then I just didn't stop there. I just turned around and I said to the children that she was with, I am so sorry that your mummy does not have the manners to see that somebody in a wheelchair who can't use their legs like your mummy can and you can is expecting me to move. I do hope that you don't have the bad manners your mummy has. And this man that heard the whole conversation came over and he said, he said, if you hadn't said that, I was going to come over and give that lady a mouthful. Now, a lot of other people, that would have just sent them overboard. And I said to my husband, I come back, and I was like, by that time, I was effing jumping. You can't believe that. And I said, I can't believe that somebody would ask somebody in a wheelchair to move because they were too lazy. She said, I want to sit on the bench. And I said, well, just walk to the other end of the bench. You know, we're not talking a 100-foot bench. We're talking a standard 3-bump-seater bench. But she wanted to sit with her family there and put her bags where I was. And to me, being in a wheelchair, I was in her way. And I was, and you guess it, you know, you're in your wheelchair and people will walk towards you and they stop in front of you, expecting you to wheel yourself around them. And then sometimes I go, oh, it must be nice to have legs that work. And I just can't, sometimes I just can't help myself. But I just think it's sometimes I said to my, and then afterwards I go, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I feel dead embarrassed now. And my friend said to me, crack on. She said, because she said, I can't believe that people actually do that to you. And I go, oh, they do. They just think we're a nuisance, we're in the way, you know, we're taking too much of the pavement up. And I've had before now, as you're a 4-wheeled vehicle, should you not be on the road? Because he class a wheelchair as being 4 wheels, because you have 2 little ones in the front and 2 big ones at the back. So he said, you're a 4-wheeled vehicle, should you not be on the road? And I said to him, well, there's a canal there, should you not be swimming in it? You know, it's just, but yeah, it is. And I think the other side of it is I look well. I'm actually quite poorly at the minute, but and because I look well, I think people go, you can't be ill. You can't have all that wrong with you because you look really well. You know, and I said to him, well, you know, do we all have to look like corpses for people to go, oh, you're really not well?
Yeah, it's like when you're smiling. Like they think we shouldn't be able to smile. They think that we should be continuously, I'd say, not happy about life. But why should we not be happy about life? Like, we're still living. Yes, we're living a little bit differently to how we were originally before our illness hit. But there's still a lot of life out there. There's still a lot of things to be positive about. So why should we?
I know, and it's like, do you really think you should be dressed like that because you're disabled? And I went, well, why shouldn't I wear a nice dress? Why shouldn't I wear nice shoes? And I said to him, well, what do you think I should be wearing? You know, and it's, oh, well, you have your hair done. And I said, well, do you not have your hair done? Do you not go and get your hair
still
done?
People.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I don't know what they expect us to look like. I think they expect us all to look like tramps. I don't know what they expect us to look like. But, you know, I do get things like, oh, well, you dress a bit nice considering you're supposed to be so ill. And I go, well, you know, I can still have a wash. I can still brush my hair.
Yeah.
You know, I'll get somebody to do it for me. But, yeah, so I think the discrimination, unfortunately, is I think, in the older generation. I think it's like I find it's the 30s to sort of maybe 60 generation. I find are the worst. I think children just come out and say what they see, which is brilliant, and they will ask questions. And my son's like 20, and all of his friends just are really funny. And there's a lot of children around here, you know, they say, you know, if I'm with my walker, they will stop and let me pass, or they'll say shout to their friends. There's a lady coming, you know, and I find they're really, really, you know, they're really good. But I do think it's that sort of 30 to 50 generation that are quite, it can be quite rude, really.
It's like they think they're better than us because, but they shouldn't treat us any differently. And which is why
she said, and we were just chatting. I mean, she said things like, she doesn't. One of the things she says, she doesn't have any children. She thinks that every year that her and her husband should have money back because they don't have children, and why should they have to pay for people who have children? So when I had my mobility card, I had, oh, look at you in your brand new cab, then you don't have to pay for it. Oh, and don't you get, you know, oh, If you only knew what it was like to pay tax insurance. So I said to her, I've worked from the day I was 16. I've always been in a good job. I've always paid for tax and national. And I said, you know what, to be honest, I think I've paid enough in my tax and national insurance since working since the age of 16 to get it back out. You know, but and that's somebody you're supposed to talk with a friend. But she does come out with things like that, you know, oh, it's all right, you know, when you don't have to pay for your car. You know, and I guess, oh, it's all right that you can have 5 holidays a year.
We don't
But I
get a
think,
lot of money. It just
you
about
know,
covers.
and yeah, and I just said to her, well, if I didn't have the car, then I couldn't get to my hospital appointments. I couldn't have any freedom at all. So, you know, and I just think, well, actually, you know, it isn't free because it's taken out, you know, so it's not as if we're getting a car and a wad of money, are we? You know, you got to think which one is going to benefit your life better. And that just happens to be, you know, one for me to get about. But yeah,
Definitely.
people are, you know,
So we could
unbelievable.
probably talk about it forever, because you do receive a lot of discrimination, and it is very disheartening because it's hard for us to live with as it is without having this added pressure of this discrimination that we receive. So we're going to end on a positive, because the interview's been about 42 minutes now. So I'll let you get on with your Easter, because it's Easter Sunday. I hope you've got some Easter eggs. So what
No.
positive quote do you live by?
I just live by take every day as it comes, and tomorrow's another day. So if you have a bad day today, tomorrow can be quite different. And I just think if you can just find a tiny bit of joy in the smallest of things, don't think big. I don't plan ahead very often. I don't think in 4 months' times I'll do this. I just go tomorrow. If you just do one day at a time, and I just think if you can do one day at a time, that one day turns into 2 days, turns into 3 days, and your positivity just grows. I just think if I can just get through today and just aim to do one thing a week, don't aim to do lots of things a week, just one thing a week. If it is just you'll go and sit in your garden and pull out 2 weeds, great, that's your job for the week. And feel really good about the very, very small things that you achieve. If it's just a phone call to a friend, or like I say, pegging out your washing, that's a major thing. And be proud of yourself, be proud of who you are, because you are all amazing people. You're all amazing fighters, and a lot of people could not even cope one day with what we cope with. So we are amazing, strong people.
I completely agree. I think even if we brush our hair, that is a massive achievement. So if we wake up, if we get up out of bed, if we brush our teeth, all these little things we should be proud of doing. And obviously, like you said, make the most of the good days. And if you're having a bad day, don't take it out on yourself,
No.
because there's always going to be another day ahead of you.